Hello everyone, and welcome to week 4, Critical Thinking. This is a very important week for us for the next month because, as I've been saying in class, we're actually starting the critical thinking application process this week. And for the next 4 weeks, module 4, 5, 6, and 7, we're actually going to be dealing with the critical thinking model, which is the critical thinking application broken up into 4 different assignments. This first assignment is going to cover the first 3 steps of the critical thinking model, and it's important to get it right this week because everything you do builds off of this week's work. So if you rush through it and don't get it right this week, you'll actually have to make corrections before you start over onto next week's process because it's going to build one after another. So it's really important that you take the time to carefully consider the instructions. Watch this video as many times as you need to, and please email me if you have any questions. Right now, after the first 3 weeks, the biggest thing I'm deducting points off of for people is failure to follow all the assignment instructions and not applying APA formatting properly, which I have those resources built in the course, and I expect you guys to use them. We have writing tutors built into the course. We have librarians built into the course. You guys need to use these resources that are at your disposal because you're going to continue to lose points if you don't. For some reason, some people are still turning things into MLA, and I'll just say it again. We are absolutely not using MLA format for any assignments in this class. Please stick to the APA 7th edition standards. Remember, it's been updated. We're using a new standard now, and some people are still in the old standard. Okay, but for this week, for the assignment anyways, because you can see we still have our regular chapter readings in our quiz, but I really want to take time to focus on this assignment because there's a lot to it, and I want to make sure you guys get it right. Okay. First thing you're going to do, as I've been saying since the first week of class, we're going to use this case here that says plantation wedding. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to need to read this case, read it a couple times. It's only 3 paragraphs, but what you need to do is get familiar with this case because this is what we're using for the next 4 weeks. If you don't use this case, you will receive 0 points for the assignment. We're all using the same case, but it's going to be different because we're all going to be looking at it from our own unique perspectives. So you need to read this case about Mallory and Ross and how they're planning their wedding because everything we do with the assignment is going to come from this particular case study. Okay, so once you've read the case study, you're ready to get started on the assignment. And you'll see the instructions right here in the Dropbox as usual. The Dropbox closes at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, September 13th. So that's a week from today. That's, as you guys are finding out, if it's not in there, it's a 0. So please make sure you get it in on time. As you'll see, you're going to use the plantation wedding case study. We're going to use APA format. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the first 3 sections of the model, which is identification, research, and analysis. So in the identification section, the first thing you're going to do is list 5 ethical issues in the case. And these are those is it right type of questions that we talked about in class. So if you consider the example I've been mentioning in class, you got this guy Bob, his wife's been cheating on him. The neighbor found out and told Bob. Well, what we want to do is if that was our case, we would take 5 questions that we would ask to the case and put them in our assignment. And these are just simple. Like I said, if it seems like you're kind of being too simple with it, it means you're doing it right because we're not trying to overcomplicate this process. Just 5 is it right questions. So you could ask questions like, is it right to cheat on your spouse? Is it right to sleep with somebody who is in a marriage with someone else? Is it right to interfere in somebody else's relationship with bad information? 5 questions like that. After those 5 questions, you're going to ask this big should question, kind of like we did in the ethical issues assignment. What we're looking is for that main ethical issue, that central ethical issue, if you will, of what should be done. So like for that example I was using, we could ask, should Bob leave his wife considering she cheated on him? So it's that main central ethical issue. We're going to just ask, should Bob leave his wife considering that she cheated on him? It's just simple, right? So in the identification process, 5 is it right questions, and then 1 big question that we're going to answer by applying utilitarianism and deontology to it, or Kantianism. And that is in the future assignments. That's why it's all builds off each other. Right? So section 2 is the research. So what you're going to do here, I want you to find 3 scholarly peer-reviewed articles that would guide the decision-making process for this situation. Okay, so for this example I've been talking about, I would find 3 articles that deal with, infidelity in marriage or something like that, okay? And you're going to find these in the SPC databases. You're not going to find these on websites outside of the databases. If you pull web articles, they will receive no points, because I want you to use scholarly, peer-reviewed academic articles. Again, use the resources that are built in the class. You guys have librarians built into the course. They've put information into the course. There's modules that tell you about the CTAP in the library links and the research links in your courses. You have access to the librarians on campus. You have access to them through Zoom appointments. You have access to librarian help through Ask a Librarian. There's no excuse not to bring this academic research into your paper. Use the resources that are available, please, to help you, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to use these 3 articles, and what it says here is you're going to write 1 sentence that states how this article will help make a decision. So this article deals with blank, which relates to the case by blank. So what you'll do is you'll have your citation with the hanging indent, double space, full APA format, and then under that you'll have the sentence that shows how it links to the case or would help you make a decision. And then you're going to put another citation and then that sentence, and then another citation and then that sentence. You're going to do that 3 times. No more, no less. Just give me 3 articles, okay? And that's the second part. And the third and final part of this week's assignment is the analysis. And what you're going to do is create an analysis chart that includes at least 4 options and 4 stakeholders as seen in chapter 4 of your textbook, okay? If you don't have 4 stakeholders and 4 options, you're not going to receive any points for that section. You have to do at least 4 stakeholders and at least 4 options, okay? You're going to designate 1 stakeholder as the decision maker. This is the person who has to decide something in the case. So in my example, Bob would be the decision maker because he was the one who was presented with information about his wife, about his marriage, and now he's the one who has to decide to do something. Okay, so we're going to have Bob as the main stakeholder, the main decision maker, and then we're going to list 4 options of what Bob could do, in that situation. Okay, and that's going to make our chart, and you'll see an example of that in a minute. And because what you're going to do is list those 4 decisions, and then you're going to talk about how each person, each stakeholder would be affected by each decision, okay? And that's important because this stakeholder chart will be used heavily in the next section when we're applying ACT utilitarianism. Now you'll see there's no minimum word count or maximum word count for this section. It's done when it's done because you're going to list your questions, you're going to have your citations and your sentence under it, and then you're going to fill out your chart, and there's going to be varying word counts, and it's kind of hard for me to decide what a good word count would be for that. So as long as you hit the content and you do it with some depth to it, you'll be fine. Don't worry about the minimum word count. For this assignment, I want us moving into the 3rd person formal academic writing. So that means no personal pronouns, I, me, my, myself, mine, we, us, our, nothing that refers to you personally, and nothing that refers to the reader, you, your, yourself. We want to be talking about in 3rd person because these are general statements that will apply to everybody. No slang and formal words or phrases, and no contractions. So contractions where you take two words, don't, instead of do not, you push them together into one word. I want you to split those up. No contractions, no slang, no colloquialisms and stuff like that. I want you to have nice, sound academic writing. And for the format, APA 7th edition, double space, except for the stuff in the chart, Times New Roman 12-point font, hanging indent on all citations. Any deviation from that will result in loss of points. Right here, I'm not going to read it in the video because you can check it out, but this shows you how to make a chart in Microsoft Word. It's pretty easy to set up, but that's what you're going to do for your stakeholder chart. And then these are your typical Dropbox rules, and you're going to get that in by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday the 13th. Now, I have a sample format here I want to show you guys, and please use this. Remember, I keep saying use the resources that are in the course. This is how I want it set up. Notice how I have the page numbers in the top corner. People keep forgetting those. I have the title, it's bolded, and it's in the center. And just put this title, guys, Critical Thinking Application Paper, sections 1, 2, and 3. Don't get fancy, just have what I have there, okay? Then you're going to have all your information for the title page. Make sure it's all there. People keep forgetting some of that as well. And those are easy points to collect as long as you do it right. And then we have our title on the first page again. And then all you're going to do is do the number 1, identification, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number them just like this. And these are your 5 is it right questions. Okay? And then under it, you're just going to write the 1 central ethical issue. So is it right to cheat on your spouse? Is it right to sleep with somebody who you know is married? Is it right to interfere in somebody else's relationship, etc., etc.? And then should Bob leave his wife considering that she was unfaithful to him? Okay? In the second section for the research, you're just going to put the number 2, the research. You're going to number these 1, 2, and 3. And you're going to have the full APA citation with the hanging indent, double spaced. And then under it, you'll have the 1 sentence explanation of how this source aids in the decision-making process, and then your second source, and then your third source. I would prefer these to be in alphabetical order by the first author's name as how they're listed. Remember, don't change the author names in the citation. Someone's done that before. Take those the way they come off your source. But as far as listing them here, if you had Adams, Jones, Smith, etc., A, J, S, right? Put them in alphabetical order because it's good practice for how your research page goes together. Or your references page, sorry. And then the third and final section here is the analysis chart. And so this is your stakeholder chart, and this is important for the rest of the assignment as well. So you're going to make this, 5 by 5 stakeholders chart here. It'll say stakeholders in the top. It'll say options here. And then you're going to list your 4 stakeholders down the side. So these are the things, the people that you see in the case that have something to gain or lose from the outcome of the decision. Stakeholder number 1 is your decision maker. So I'd put Bob here. And I want this word decision maker under there so we know that's who's making the decision. So here I'd have Bob, and here I'd have his wife, and here I'd have the boyfriend, and maybe here I'd have the neighbor, because these are all people who are directly involved in the case. Now, sometimes you may have to go outside of the obvious people listed in the case to find 4 options. What you have to imagine then is what are other people, who are other people that could be involved in this. Remember, they're going to have family members, they're going to have friends, they're going to have all kinds of people that would be impacted by a divorce type situation. So just use your imagination and find some people outside the case if you can't get 4 from the case itself. Now what you're going to do here across the top, you're going to label option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, and then under that you're going to list the decision that your stakeholder can make, your decision maker. So in this case, Bob can do nothing, Bob can get a divorce, Bob can get counseling, Bob can try a separation. There's 4 different things. Any 4 things that you see him as doing. This is where variation is going to come into play because, it's going to be how each of you see his options. I should see different options among the class, and I'll see some similarities, right? But what I want you to do is think of 4 options that Bob can do. And then what you're going to do is fill in the blanks, the boxes here, with what happens to each person from Bob's decision. So option 1, if Bob does nothing, so maybe he'd be unhappy because, his wife's cheating on him, but maybe she'd be happy because she can continue the affair. And the boyfriend would be happy because he can continue the affair. And then maybe the neighbor would be happy because he wouldn't feel like he caused a divorce. So here in the divorce situation, maybe he's unhappy because, he had to, divorce his wife. But maybe she's happy because maybe she was checked out of the relationship anyways, which is why she was cheating. And then maybe the boyfriend's happy because now he can pursue a relationship with her. Then maybe the neighbor's unhappy because, he feels like he caused this relationship, to split up. Maybe option 3, maybe Bob's happy because they're trying to work it out. Maybe she's happy because they're trying to work it out. Maybe the boyfriend's unhappy because this means like they're not having their relationship anymore. And then, maybe the neighbor, is happy because they're trying to work it out. Then you do the same thing for option 4. So you're going to list 4 stakeholders and 4 options that the decision maker can make. And then you're just going to show how everybody is affected by one of the decision maker's decisions. Now remember, this is your best guess. Don't feel like there's a right or wrong answer per se. This is subjective to how you see it as the person who's doing the assignment. So just take your best guess at how you think that person would be affected by that decision. Now, when you're identifying your stakeholders, remember, each stakeholder can be one person. It can be multiple people if they're connected in some way. It could be a group, like a company or something. So just think about who's involved and how they play together to go into the stakeholders chart. One tip I will give you for ours, the couple are going to be one stakeholder combined. Don't split up the couple because they have to, are affected equally by any of the outcomes because they're together. So don't split them up. Keep them together and then fill in the rest of your other stakeholders, how you see them, and designate your decision maker, whomever you decide that person to be, okay? So that's how you fill out your stakeholders chart. And essentially, when you have this together, this is the first 3 sections of your critical thinking application paper. So we've identified the questions and stated our main ethical issue. We've got 3 articles that would help us with, researching a decision to make. And then we're going to have our stakeholders chart where we've identified our stakeholders and the options that our decision maker can take, and then how everybody's affected by it. Okay? And that goes into the Dropbox once more by 11:59 Sunday, September 13th. And keep in mind that you have the rubric here that shows how I'm going to be grading you. So use this as a tool to make sure you're getting all the points. Remember, 5 points just for following all the instructions. Anything you miss in that instructions in the Dropbox will be a deduction of points. Adherence to APA, if you have any major APA issues, that'll be points. Grammar and mechanics is 5 points. Please, guys, use the writing tutors that are built into the course. Use the writing tutors on your campus writing centers. Use the writing tutors that you can make appointments to meet with in Zoom online, or use tutor.com. A lot of people are losing points for grammar and mechanics that would move them up a next grade level because they're not proofreading their papers, or they have errors in there they're not catching. The tutors will help you find and fix those issues. And then, as always, the content is the majority of it. That's going to be 25 points. Okay? So this is what you're going to do for this week. You're going to do this assignment, and then you will use that same chart for next week when we apply ACT Utilitarianism. And again, review the instructions as much as you can. Review chapter 4 as much as you can. Watch this video as many times as you need to. And email me any questions you have throughout the week. It's super important that you get started off right, or else you're going to be playing catch up the whole time for the next 4 weeks on this assignment. So I wish you luck, and if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. And I look forward to seeing you guys this week in class and talking about critical thinking. So you guys take care for now, and go ahead and get started, and let me know when you need something. Okay? Bye.